I don't think it's good.
Cash walk through the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your
The Minor Details were episode 19, and today we are going over Vegas crime. The old days of the mafia and the new crime on the Vegas Strip today with my co-host. 108 movies and TV shows now because he just completed another TV show. Pete Pitts, welcome, Pete.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I am Pete Pitts. It's an honor to join you, Danny Minor, the crime solver, on The Minor Details. This is a show where everyone has a voice, where every life has a purpose, and we unravel the truth. It's going to be a big show today. And I first of all want to thank all of our live viewers on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for tuning in. You guys rock.
Listen, our followers are second to none, Pete. But Pete, I got some disturbing news right off the show. It's breaking. It happened 8 minutes ago. Israel has striked Iran. So Israel has bombed Iran. Israel is now calling for a state of emergency in their country because they believe and they know that Iran is going to strike back. Now, folks, the U.S. had no involvement in this whatsoever, but this is breaking news, and we thought we'd give it out right now. It happened 8 minutes ago.
Such a devastating piece of news. I know as the climate of what's going on around the world makes its way back to our home here in the U.S., we hear about these things. And often, if we're not experiencing war or devastation, we don't realize how dramatic it is and how serious it is. But the fact is things can change rapidly, and the U.S. can become involved very quickly. So our hearts and prayers go out to all of those out there, all the innocent victims, because we know when bombings and wars happen, innocent lives are lost. And so that's the main thing I want to say is our hearts go out to everyone involved right now and all the innocent victims.
And Pete, I'm with you on that. You know, there's pro-Palestine, there's pro-Israel. Really? There is victims on both sides that aren't even, they're just innocent victims. Women, children that's involved in these wars, folks. It's just innocent people on both sides. We don't take any side on this. We're saying there's innocent victims on both sides. Really. And there is, folks. And let's hope and pray for peace in the world because it's not going good, guys, and it's scary times.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important for us to all live our best lives, live with purpose, live with a sense of duty, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. Things happen, natural tragedies, wars, famine, drought, you name it. The point is tomorrow is not guaranteed. So that's why this show is important. This podcast features true crime, news, entertainment, missing people, and even a hint of paranormal. And we do this show so we can bring you the truth, and also so we can allow you to have a voice here on this platform. So again, we want to thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And yes, we started off with some breaking news today of Israel attacking Iran. It's so devastating. Let's jump into some other weekly highlights really quick before we get to our main topic today of the history of crime and the mob in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do the entertainment. Go ahead, Pete. We got you.
So first of all, I do want to say, Danny mentioned earlier, I just got off a big show. And yes, this was one of my most recent productions. This is one of the biggest shows filming in production right now. It's a huge multi-million-dollar extravagant production. I'm technically not supposed to talk about what this show is, but if you look on the visual right now of YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, you might see a subtle hint right now. If you
What's that shirt say, Pete? What does that shirt say?
If you check out the shirt, you might see a little hint. There's a little blue beast of some sort with the word beast. And that's all that I can say that's on my shirt, but I'm not associating that with anything else yet. But let's just put it this way. I worked on a really big show, and it's going to be coming out in the future, and I'm so excited to help bring you guys this entertainment. I do see Angela in the comments has a question about a Netflix movie, Straw. Are you familiar with that movie, Straw, yet, Danny?
Listen, I watched that movie. It's a new movie on Netflix called Straw. Tyler Perry made the movie. It's gut-wrenching. and it's exactly what's happening in America today. It's just about being broke, children dying because they don't get prescription drugs, people going through mental health episodes. It's America. The Straw movie is what America is today. It was sad, but it was a fantastic movie by Tyler Perry, and I recommend everybody watch it.
Okay, I'm going to have to watch that. A lot of folks out here may not know that I actually worked with Tyler Perry about 17 times. He's one of my favorite directors to work with. I worked with him in costume as Medea, as well as while he was directing some of his other shows. And he has such profound stories. He really talks about the human dynamic, whether you love his stuff, whether you've not seen his stuff, or whether you don't like him. The fact is, you have to give him credit that he's telling real, raw human stories. So I will definitely watch Straw and check that out soon.
And Pete, I love that. I'm a guy that wants truth behind every story. I don't like fiction. I don't watch fiction movies. I'm not a Superman, Spider-Man guy. That's not me. I want drama. I want true stories. And this Tyler Perry story, the lead actress, I can't think of her name, but she was in that movie, that TV show Empire. Do you remember that show Empire? She's the lead character in this. She's a fantastic actress, and she did a great job in this movie. And folks, it's what people are going through right now in this country. People are living paycheck to paycheck. People can't afford their children's lunches. She was backed up on her children's lunches. Folks, this is America, and we shouldn't have people broke like this, and that's what this movie shows. They can't even afford prescription drugs for their children. It's horrible. It's horrible.
It really is. It's devastating. The condition of America and the world it's been in a crumbling state for the lower and the middle class for a long time. If you're upper middle class or you're upper class, hey, those problems, they might not exist to you of what Danny and I are talking about. But when you look in the streets and you see these people struggling, it really is devastating. I believe it's Taraji P. Henderson is the actress you're referring to, Danny.
Yes, she's very good. I mean, she's good in everything she does. You know what I mean? She really is. She's good in everything she does, and she plays a fantastic role in this. Honestly, fantastic.
I'm going to watch it soon. So shout out to Tyler Perry, shout out to the movie Straw, and all the real stories out there that are telling true human stories and affecting us everywhere we go and everywhere we watch them. I want to bring up a quick weekly highlight, Danny. We are now in 168 cities, as you know, and we are in 16 countries. I want to shout out to our #1 city right now. Our top listeners are in Cleveland, Ohio. So shout out to Cleveland,
Ohio. I love it.
Yes, shout out to Ohio, and shout out to the UK, which is our #2 most popular listening country besides the US. So shout out to everyone in England.
Yeah, but you know what, Pete? I'm going to make it even better with the UK. The UK, one city in the UK, and I can't think of them right offhand, but they're actually our third highest download. So our third highest downloads is a city in the UK, which is crazy. I mean, we are international for sure, and thank you to all our international followers. Our second big country actually is Ireland. So we got the UK and we got Ireland. That's our two big countries, but we're in 16 different countries. But Pete, before we get off the entertainment, real quick, just announced today, okay, the Idaho Moscow Murders is coming out with another documentary on Amazon Prime. It's coming out July 11th, and they're going to focus on family and friends. So it's going to be nothing about the trial. It's not going to hurt the trial. They're not going to be talking about evidence. They're going to be talking about these kids and what they meant to their friends and to their family. And it's just going to, I believe it's called The Night in Idaho. Is that what it's called, Pete? Am I right about that?
A Day in Idaho.
A Day in Idaho. And it'll be July 11th. And honestly, I can't wait to watch that and focus on the victims and their families, which that's who we should be focusing on.
Yes, absolutely. We here at the Minor Details, we want to give a voice to the voiceless. So we want to continue doing that kind of work, what it sounds like they're attempting to do in that documentary, which is really shed light on these situations, shed light on these crimes, unravel the truth, and hopefully bring healing and a hope for humanity. I'm still trying to convince Danny to have some hope for humanity, but one day maybe we'll convince him. I don't know, though.
Listen, on that note, like you said, we want to give a voice to everyone, right? Next week, Pete, we're going to have a guest host here. We're going to have another co-host here next week. We're going to give a woman's perspective to crime next week. So we are inviting Angela and she's on TikTok. Everybody knows her. She's a true crime favorite. She helps every true crime content creator out there. So everyone on TikTok knows her. A Dose of Angela, she goes by on TikTok, and she will give a female perspective to what we're talking about next week. And we're going to keep that under wraps, what we're talking about next week. But it's going to be a humongous episode, and we're going to have a female perspective next week.
That's so exciting. Episode 20 on the way. We're going to welcome Angela. We're going to welcome all of our listeners and viewers. It's tremendous. I just want to give one more weekly highlight before we go into a minor minute for a moment. We have one more piece of news that's just so big we had to talk about it again. The feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk may have come to a temporary close. Elon Musk finally apologized on social media. He said that he regrets some of his social media posts about President Trump, and they went too far. To recap, if you don't know, last week, Elon started going off on Trump, saying that Trump was not releasing the Epstein list because he was on it. And then Trump went back and forth saying, Elon, you're going to have serious consequences. As we all know, Elon has Tesla, SpaceX, which is heavily reliant on government funds. And we also know Elon helped get Donald Trump elected with millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Very interesting.
Oh, yes. And let me tell you what I thought was weird about this, Pete. And listen, I have no inside information. This is just my gut feeling. I was shocked when Elon went after Trump. When people go after Trump, he goes after them 2 times harder. He didn't do this time. He didn't go back after Elon. He actually felt sorry for him and said, you know, I hope the guy gets some help. He's going through something right now. That's not like Trump. Okay, I don't know. That's not like him. He usually goes right after everybody. He actually seemed concerned about Elon. He did in his mental health status. So I don't know what to read into that. Does Elon have some kind of problem? I don't know. But to me, it was weird that Trump didn't go after him. It was weird.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. And I think that you have to recognize Elon as such a powerful force, no matter what you think about him. But just a couple weeks ago, Trump was calling Elon his first buddy, and they were hanging out in the White House not long ago. So, yeah, I think Trump definitely realizes that Elon is a powerful person. Elon also, of course, realizes that about Trump, but they're definitely butting heads. So we'll see what happens as that develops. As we continue on the show, though, I want to see if Danny has a minute to rant for his usual minor minutes that we like to do every single episode. Do you have something to rant about?
Pete, I have something to rant about. And you know what? I'm going to take my glasses off for this because I'm so mad. Okay? Now, Pete, people go boating on Lake Mead all the time out here, right? We have this humongous lake, okay? But when it's windy out here, it endangers people, okay? And these goofballs will go out in 40-mile-per-hour winds where it's so dangerous that they could sink their boat and drown. And I saw 2 people out there yesterday, and these 2 people were swimming in these waves, boating in these waves, and them 2 people were Pete and Danny. What in the hell was wrong with us, Pete?
You weren't supposed to tell anyone it was us. Oh, man. We were the idiots, Danny. We were the ones out there on Lake Mead. It was fun. It was so fun. I would do it.
Listen, for those that don't know, me and Pete went out on a boat on Lake Mead yesterday, and it was so windy we had 40-mile-per-hour winds. There was gusts of 40-mile-per-hour winds, and we were out there. And Lake Mead is one of the most dangerous. It is the most dangerous lake in the country. 23 people drown on Lake Mead a year. 23.
Wow. Well, Danny, I'm glad you didn't make it 25. You told me when we went out, you said it's kind of windy today. And I said, oh, I'm used to these desert winds. I used to live in Florida. I'm used to the tropical Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico winds. I can handle it. But you were right. It was windy on Lake Mead yesterday.
Oh, my God. We were crazy, Pete. We shouldn't have done it. We were lucky to get out of there alive.
Well, crazy experiences. Luckily, we made it through. And here we are still today to tell about it. Now, I want to continue on with our missing persons segment of the show. Every single week, Danny and I love to talk about some person or persons who are missing so we can help bring attention and a spotlight to the missing case. We actually have a very special segment today as Danny is going to take it over and talk about some missing children in particular. So go ahead, Danny. You have that brought
Pete,
up?
You know what? Yeah, Pete, you know what? Today I looked and I was thinking, I wonder how many kids are missing from the beginning of the year. Okay. So I went on National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I put January 1st, 2025 to May 12th, 2025. Pete, there is 121 children still missing just this year, Pete. And honestly, you know what scares me, Pete? I thought it would be worse. That's how bad our country is anymore with crime and missing kids. I thought it would be worse, but we have 121 missing children in the United States. Pete, did you think that would be it, or did you think it would be higher?
I honestly thought the number would be higher, and it makes me curious how many people are missing in the US or the world that have not yet been reported. How many parents have not reported their children missing? That's a scary thought, isn't it?
That is a total scary thought. And I'm going to name a couple real quick here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the entire link on Facebook as soon as we get done here, and you guys could go through it. Listen, you never know. You might know one of these children. You might have seen something that you didn't realize you seen. So go through it. Folks, we have people missing from, when I say all over the country, I mean all over the country. We have a girl named Renee Lane. She went missing June 8th. So just days ago, folks. She went missing June 8th. She's missing from Washington, Pasco, Washington. She's only 17 years old, folks. There is so many kids missing here. Jose Martinez, Brownwood, Texas. He's only 16. He's missing just days ago. June 8, 2025. Sierra Cochran. Okay, she's from Marion, Arkansas. She's missing from June 8th, 2025. Folks, and it just goes on and on and on. And they're missing from June 9th, June 10th, just days ago. 121 kids out there, our children in America, that no one knows where they are. Missing and exploited children. It's sad.
Wow. And it's so alarming to think that someone we know and love could be right there with us one day, and the next day they're suddenly missing. They've suddenly vanished. They've been taken. They've been trafficked or kidnapped. There's so many terrible things going on. So we here at the Minor Details hope to solve these missing cases. So again, join the Minor Details Facebook group so you can get all these updates and you can see all these cases and help find these missing children and people.
Yeah, I agree, Pete. Are we ready to get into the meat and potatoes of this?
Let's do it. Let's jump into our main topic today. We're going to talk about Las Vegas, crime, the mob, the history of crime in Las Vegas, and one of the most infamous cities in the world, the entertainment capital of the world. Danny, before we talk about all the crime and the history of what shaped Vegas, I just wanted to ask you a personal question. What was your very first impression of Las Vegas, and do you remember the first time you came here?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. I moved to Las Vegas 9.5 years ago, guys. It's actually almost 10 years now, okay? I moved here in 2016, folks. And I used to come down to the World Series of Poker, just like you guys said. Guys know I play poker, right? The first time I came to Vegas was in 2009. And I'm going to be honest with you, Pete. I was riding the Stratosphere elevator, and a person said, "Isn't it beautiful here, the weather? It only rains 20 times a year, and it never snows." And I looked at them and I said, 20 times a year it only rains? They're like, "Yeah." And I said, "It never snows." They're like, "No." I said, "What's the winter like?" They're like 60s, 70s. I'm like, from that day forward, Pete, I'm thinking I'm moving here. Okay, honest to God. And I left here, Pete, thinking this is where I belong. I am not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. And it started turning in my head back then to move here. I love this city from the moment I was here. This city is Danny Miner. I love this city, and I'm never leaving. This city's my home forever.
I love that. And that actually makes sense. You fit so well here. My first impression was 2013. I visited Vegas on a road trip on the way to San Francisco. I meant to stop here in one day. I ended up staying 6 days with one of my friends. We stayed over in Henderson in his house. And every single day, I was just enthralled. I was captivated. Vegas really is a one-of-a-kind city. It's the entertainment capital of the world for a reason. And yes, it does have a lot of seedy history and kind of a checkered past, as we're going to talk about today. But my first impression was Las Vegas, a city of dreams, an oasis in the scorching Mojave Desert, a city of opportunity, a city of possibilities. And so, like you, when I first came here, I remember my friend asking me, "Could you live here one day?" And I said, "Yes, I could see myself living here." So several years later, here we are. It's mind blowing.
Pete,
Man.
and I agree. And for people that don't live here, you know, the food is fantastic. You are never bored. Pete and I talked. We're going to Fremont Street tonight. We're going to hang out on Fremont Street tonight. We're going to go live from Fremont Street tonight. There's always something to do. This city's never boring. And you do not. People work differently here too. Weekends ain't the big thing here because people work different hours here. So this city's going 7 days a week. It's not just weekends. This city goes 7 days a week, which is great. I love this city. And like I said, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. So Las Vegas was formed and founded as a dream. It was founded by dreamers and believers who believed that they could create an oasis in the middle of the desert, halfway between Los Angeles and Salt Lake City, Utah. And then here we are. In 1905, Las Vegas was settled. It was incorporated in 1911. The word Las Vegas means the meadows. So this was mainly just meadows. It was the indigenous native people that lived here. It was the native wildlife. And then all the massive infrastructure and the major resorts we see today came from nothing, from those dreams. So here we are today, a major resort city. We're known for gambling, of course, shopping, fine dining, entertainment, and the nightlife. Like you said, 7 nights a week, there's nightlife. And the Valley never sleeps. The Las Vegas Valley is also the leading financial, commercial, and cultural center for the entire state of Nevada now.
That's crazy. And Pete, just before we get on to the crime here in Vegas, I just want to say they're starting to become not the entertainment, the sports entertainment capital of the world. Because the Super Bowl was here. We have the Raiders. Now they're talking about bringing a basketball team here, an NBA team. We have the hockey team, which everybody loves. WrestleMania is coming back here because they love it here. So Vegas is going to end up being the sports capital of the world. And I just want to tell everybody, Vegas is always changing too. Universal Studios just put in a Halloween park here in Vegas. So in August, a Halloween park by Universal Studios will open up here in Vegas. They'll have 400 house Halloween themed restaurants. This city is always expanding, always getting better.
Yes, I know. I'm going to be there around this Halloween, checking those out. I also am going to check out the John Wick experience they just put over at Area 15. That looks amazing. Vegas is just always growing. It's a central hub, of course, and it started back all the way in 1931 when Nevada made casino gambling legal here. That's kind of what it really ignited the fire. And around that time, lots of construction workers flooded the state and the valley because the Hoover Dam begins construction, which Danny and I just went to yesterday. Beautiful Hoover Dam.
Yeah, we went by boat to the Hoover Dam, which a lot of people don't do. Me and Pete went by boat.
And I will say, Danny, it was my second time ever seeing the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam is known as one of the big attractions, one of the big man-made attractions in America. And I've got to be honest, it's just a bunch of cement. I mean, I like it, and the historical significance is cool, but I don't know, something that's not that entertaining about it to me. What do you think? Am I being unfair?
I mean, it's good to see once. It's one of them things you say, yeah, there it is. You know.
I was listening to someone calling it an attraction, and I was like, well, is it really an attraction? I don't know. I mean, again, it's cool, but the Grand Canyon now, that's an attraction about 3.5 hours away. Let's do a Minor Details Grand Canyon episode one day. How about that?
That would be awesome, Pete. So you're telling me gambling started in 1831, right?
1931, yeah. So
yeah, I mean 1931.
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah.
now one thing I want to get straight while we're on this, because we're talking crime.
Yes.
People think, especially people that don't live in Las Vegas, they think prostitution is legal here, Pete.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Have you got that from people? Like, people think that you could that prostitution's legal. You can come here, get a hooker, take her back to your hotel room, and you're all good to go. But the truth of the matter is, prostitution is legal in Nevada, but not in major cities. They're okay in the small towns. There's a small town called Pahrump. There's another small town towards Area 51, which is close here. Okay, they actually have, it's called the Alien Brothel. I kid you not, Pete. It's called the Alien Brothel, okay? So that's one thing. People come to Vegas and they think it's legal. It's not legal in Vegas itself. It's legal on the outskirts. I just want to get that clear so nobody gets in trouble when they come to Vegas.
That's good. That's smart to clarify that. And that brings us to one of the biggest and the most famous nicknames for Vegas, Sin City. So Vegas was coined as Sin City many, many, many decades ago when there were underground brothels operating here. This was, of course, Vegas was incorporated before the prohibition of alcohol. So during the prohibition, many, many people flooded to Vegas and they were drinking in the speakeasies. They were in the underground bars and they were in the underground tunnels hanging out. And then, of course, after 1931, after casino gambling became legal, it was pretty much the only place in America you could do it in this way. So Vegas just started growing and booming. And that's when the term Sin City just really kind of got hard stamped on Vegas. Now, I think living here, that's not currently the best way to describe it, because yes, while the opportunity to sin exists here, you can actually do that, a lot of these things, in a lot of other cities, minus the gambling.
Yeah, and Pete, that's one thing I gotta say. People come to Vegas and they act out. They think they could get away with anything. You can't. The cops are still gonna arrest you just like any other city. And McBlue brought up and said, I'm sure none of that happens in major cities, prostitution. I'm gonna tell you this, McBlue, if you ever come to Vegas, go to the Flamingo Casino at 2 a.m. and walk by the bar. Just walk by the bar. They will grab you. They will do anything to get you to go home with them. They'll grab me and say, hey, do you want some company tonight? All the time. I would say 75% of the time I go to the strip, I get propositioned by a prostitute. At least 75% of the time. They're there. They're especially at the Flamingo. They're all over the Flamingo bar. All over it.
Well, speaking of the Flamingo is actually one of the most notorious crime-founded casinos. And at the time that it came up, it was the biggest casino on the Strip. So yes, of course, there was that going on. There was the gambling, the prostitution, but the underground crime was actually filtering in the casino to actually form the Flamingo. And it was at the helm, Bugsy Siegel, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, who was formerly trained by Lucky Luciano. So basically, history of mob and mafia started transitioning into Vegas around that time, from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when a lot of these mob bosses realized that they can open up shop here essentially from their own city. So it started transitioning. And
Pete, that brings me to one thing. And when we started talking about prostitutes, the viewership went up. I just want you to know, I saw the viewership go up when we started talking about prostitutes. But listen, I want to tell you this. You can thank me for my ancestors, my Italian ancestors. We made Vegas, baby. My Italian ancestors made Vegas. Okay? So thank us. Thank the Italian flag right there.
That's right. That's right. So when Vegas was kind of listed as an open city in terms of mafia, more than 24 total mafia families came here from across the country. Many had been representing Vegas for a long time, such as Chicago being the most dominant city that had mafia influence here. But you're right. A lot of the Italian influence, of course, absolutely shaped the city. And New York had a huge stake in Vegas. Miami moved out here. Of course, this was the Wild West. You got to keep in mind that this literally was the Wild West at that time. All the movies we see about the Wild West, that was right here where we currently have buildings. It was nothing but, horses and gunfights. And there are wild horses that are still here in Vegas, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there's wild horses. Yes, all over here. People don't realize this. This is the West.
So the Dream was founded, and a lot of the mob and mafia families came, and with their money, they said, you know what? Let's take this dream to make it a tropical style oasis. And Flamingo was actually founded with a tropical theme. Wanted to be similar to like Miami or similar to the Bahamas. So that's why they called it Flamingo. That's why they brought in the actual live flamingo birds. Unfortunately, Bugsy Siegel was only at the helm of the Flamingo for about 6 months before he was shot and killed in his Beverly Hills, California house. So was he killed because he crossed the mob? Many people think so. What do you think, Danny?
Without a doubt. Here's the thing. Listen, I'm going to tell you, not that I have an inside source. I don't have an inside source, Pete. I'm just telling you. Okay? When you're in the mob, right? If you're on any kind of drugs, or they think that you may tell on them for some reason, you're weak, you're in trouble. Okay? And I'm going to give us another hint. To be a made man in the mafia, what that means to be a made man is they actually have to have a meeting to kill you. Okay? They have to actually have a meeting. If you're not a made man, there doesn't have to be a meeting. Okay? That's basically what it is. Okay? But to be a made man, you have to be pure Italian. Okay? You gotta be pure. I can never be a made man. I'm a half. Okay? I'm probably 45%. They're never making me one. So that's how the mob was, back in the days. That's how they ran it. To be a made man, to be the head guy, to be one of the top guys, you had to be full Italian blood.
So what you're saying is the movie Casino is actually a pretty accurate depiction of the mob family and their involvement in Vegas.
I am an expert on that movie, Casino. And do you want me to tell you why?
Yes.
Okay, guys, about 3 years ago, there was a barrel found at Lake Mead with a body in it. Okay? And they believe that the mob did this and they killed the guy, threw him in a barrel, and sunk it in Lake Mead. Since Lake Mead has been losing water, okay, to California, it has went down. We had a drought here. It made the barrel come up. And people found the barrel with a guy in the barrel with gunshots, okay? And he had 70s Kmart clothing on. So they know what happened in the 70s. He had Kmart sneakers on, and that's how they know. Now, my podcast, at that time, I was on another podcast called The Problem Solvers. Shout out to them. They're still out there, The Problem Solvers. And when I was on that podcast, we gave out a $5,000 reward for anybody who knew who might be in that barrel. And when we did that, Pete, we went viral the next day. And news stations, I was on every news station in the world. Next thing, they were going to film a reality show with us that never went. So I feel like I'm an expert. The movie Casino, Pesci, the character that Pesci played, they truly believe he could be the one involved with this guy with the body in the barrel. He was the big guy in this. Pesci's character in the movie Casino.
Wow. So it was pretty accurate to true events, is what you're saying, and real characters.
Yes. Now, I researched all this because we were filming a reality show for this, so I had to know my stuff. And
Right.
the Pesci's character is known for this. He stuck a guy's head in a vice, turned it to the guy's eyes popped out of his head. Pesci's character was the guy that killed people. He was the guy that went out there. He was the tough guy. Okay? I can't think of his name offhand. Pete, if you could look that up for me. I know the guy's name. I just can't think of it offhand if you have Google up right now.
Yeah.
Now,
Gotcha.
now the character Robert De Niro played in Casino, he's a real life character too. They tried to kill him. They bombed his car, but he was able to live through the bombing. They actually bombed him. Robert De Niro's character ran the casinos. They brought him from New York to run the casino. And the Pesci character, he's from Chicago. And you were right, Pete. He came from Chicago.
So the Pesci character was Nicky Santoro.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay.
In Casino.
In Casino, yes.
I'm sorry. His Casino character was Nick Santoro, but he was inspired by the real life mobster Anthony Spilotro.
Spilotro. Yes, that's him. I'm sorry, you got it right there. That's him,
Yes.
Pete. That's him. And he was the man. I don't know if you know that. They killed him in a field just like that movie.
Yeah. Yes.
They killed him because he was getting out of control. You know what I mean? The mafia can't have somebody out of control. And that's why he was killed, Pete. You know?
Wow. So basically, during this time, you have a lot of people running casinos who weren't in the mob, but they didn't really have the money to expand. And then you had a lot of people in the mob who had the money, but they didn't know how to run a casino. And then you had the merging of these groups of people because it wasn't largely enforced. Of course, you have the Nevada Gaming Commission, but you didn't have the FBI or the feds were not watching these casinos closely at that time. So the mob was just kind of filtering in, from what I understand.
Yeah, and listen, I want to tell you something else that I found out through all of this, Pete. Now, me and you were just on Lake Mead yesterday, right? Where we were, we're at Colville Bay Marina, where we were, okay? If you go 15 miles past Colville Bay, there's another marina called Echo Bay. And that was huge years ago in the 70s and 80s. They actually had a restaurant and a hotel out there, Pete. Now, what I've heard, now this is the fact. This is only rumors, okay? The mob ran that hotel. The mob ran that hotel. And the manager of that hotel, guess what happened to him? He went missing. He went to sell his car at Circus Circus. He was meeting a guy to sell his car. Never found again. Could he be the guy body in the barrel? I don't know. The rumor is the mob ran the casino and hotel at Echo Bay. And I talked to people, that's kind of a fact because it's so far out there, they thought the cops would not come all the way out in the desert to look for them. So it was way out in the desert. Pete, you know how far this is. This is the middle of nowhere. So they put that hotel all the way out there because the mob figured the cops wouldn't come all the way out there. And that's a fact.
So do you know if this manager went missing around the 1970s? Did the time period fit?
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
There's a lot of rumors who that guy could be. I don't know any facts. I'm just hearing rumors. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's fascinating. Is that hotel still up and running, do you think, in Echo Park?
No, they knocked it down 2 years ago. We filmed there. I have film there. We filmed the hotel and everything before it got knocked down.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's in the middle of nowhere. So you're right. I mean, once you get outside of the Las Vegas Valley and you start to leave the Las Vegas Valley, it starts to get very, very empty and treacherous.
Pete, I'm going to tell you this. You're going to be shocked about this, and I'm not lying to you. I sat down with a guy, I'm not going to mention his name, that knew these guys from casino.
Wow.
I had a big conversation with him when we were filming the reality show, and just meeting this guy gave me a little shakes. You know what I mean? Listen, I met him in a pizza place in Vegas, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of nervous, but I needed to know what he knew, okay? But he was an intimidating guy, and he knew these guys. And I asked him about Spilatro, the main character guy that Pesci played, and he said, listen, he wasn't going out there doing this to people he didn't know, or he was doing this to people that did him wrong. So he said he wasn't a crazy guy that did this to innocent people. He just did it to people that did him wrong.
Wow. So how did you meet or arrange the meeting with this guy?
Listen, I'm going to keep that here, Pete. I'm going to keep that here. They're probably listening.
That's so unusual to just randomly meet someone. But hey, you've got sources, you've got connections.
Listen, I'm not lying about that, guys. I'm not lying about that. I met with a big time guy. I did. I met him at a pizza place, and it was all for the reality show that we were filming. That never went.
Not yet, but maybe that reality show is going to transition into the Minor Details show. Maybe this show is going to take off and replace it. So that's okay.
And you know what, Pete? That's what happened. Our podcast went viral for one episode. It went viral for some reason. And then, oh my God, it was insane. It was crazy.
Wow. And
So there's more crime than the mob out here, though, Pete.
There definitely is, yeah. So the mob kind of has a lot of the crime history. And of course, you have, after the 1950s, you have an onslaught of mob-connected casinos such as the Dunes, the Sands, the Tropicana, the Stardust. A lot of those were financed or refinanced with millions of dollars in loans from the mob-dominated Teamsters Central States Pension Fund, which, as we know, was connected to Jimmy Hoffa. So there's definitely a lot of history that shaped Vegas from the mob and from the mafia. But basically, throughout the 60s to the 70s, and up till current day, that came to an end. You know, that slowly came to an end before our lifetimes. So that way, the Vegas we know and love today, it just has the mob museum. It just has the mob history. It's not a mob-run city, but it definitely helped shape the city.
Two things on that, Pete. One, I play in the World Series of Poker, and they hire old dealers, retired dealers to handle the World Series of Poker because they don't have enough dealers because there's so many people here for the World Series. You saw Pete. It's insane how many people are here, right? So this old dealer, God, he must have been in his 80s. You know what he told me, Pete? He said the mob don't run this city anymore, but he worked for them guys in casino. He actually worked for them. I kid you not. He told me this. It was ran better when the mob ran it. He said, as long as you didn't, screw these guys over, they loved you. You came here, they gave you free meals, they gave you free shows, they gave you free drinks. They still took your money, but when you left, You felt like you got something for your money. You got your free hotel. You got your free dinner. You got your free show. So the mafia treated everyone better. As long as you didn't screw them over, you were good. You know what I mean? Don't mess with their money. Don't screw them over, and they're going to treat you good. And he said he wishes the mob still ran Vegas. It would be better. And that's a fact.
You know, a lot of people will say that the government is the biggest mob of them all. And I guess they're the ones running it now, right? So, which not really. I mean, we know that a lot of major investors came through and made Vegas more corporate, and that's kind of what took the mob out. We know that by the 1960s, with the mob's rise on the Strip, the state gaming regulators finally created the list of excluded persons, which is more commonly known as the Black Book of undesirables. And they literally started banning these mobsters and their associates from casinos. So we know that that's the transition to when it stopped being mob run. But, you know, like that guy said, was it better back then? I don't know. I wasn't here.
Pete, you know how you mentioned the Black Book?
Yes.
It's one of the guys I met with. He's in the Black Book.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I would love to get a look at that Black Book.
We'll talk after. We'll talk tonight on Fremont Street. Guys, I'm still young. I can't have the mafia mad at me.
No. So yeah, basically after the Black Book came out, the list of excluded persons came out, casinos started saying, hey, we can't allow the mob to just actively run these casinos anymore. Then months later, John F. Kennedy was elected, President Kennedy. His younger brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, went on a crusade against the mob, and he sought to rid Las Vegas of its crime influence. So that's really when like the hardcore force of the U.S. government went after the Las Vegas mob, and it stopped being known as a mob in a mafia city, and it kept being known as Sin City. It eventually transitioned to being known as the entertainment capital of the world, the gaming capital of the world, the gambling capital of the world, and even the marriage capital of the world. Did you know that, Danny?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Everybody comes out here to get married, too. God, that's another thing this city has everything. Guys, I'm telling you, I do not regret 1 minute of moving out here. I love this city, and this city has been good to me. Is it expensive? Yes. You got to hustle. You can't just work here. You have to work and have a side hustle because it's expensive. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's a great, great city. It really is. It's a great city.
Yes, and as we know, there's no city in the world that is free of crime. Of course, Vegas has a history of crime here, from all the mob and the mafia involvement to the other famous crimes that we'll talk about. But really quick, Danny, I just want to ask you a question, and I'll tell you what I think. Is Las Vegas safe? Is it a safe city to live in today in 2025? And
Okay.
My opinion is yes. I feel safe here. However, just like with any major city or any rural area, I just always try to live and move with a sense of awareness and a sense of readiness. So what do you think about that, Danny?
I'm gonna say two things about that, Pete. One thing is I've been here like 10 years, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt safer 10 years ago than I do now. Like, I go down there, Pete. You know, we had some major incidents since I lived here. We had a guy with a knife in front of the Wynn 2 years ago that stabbed, you know, the girls that dress like entertainers on the Strip, you know, with their headdresses. I can't think of what they are right now,
Yeah.
but they want to get you. What would you say?
Showgirls is what I would call them.
Showgirls. Yeah, they want to get your picture taken with showgirls. This guy took a knife and stabbed four of them on the Strip in front of the Wynn. Okay. Then 2 nights ago, we had a YouTuber shoot another YouTuber right in front of the Bellagio fountains. So we've had our crime here, Pete. I still think the Strip is safe compared to other places, but you still have to watch what you're doing. And I'm gonna go right out right now to our mayor and our police chief and our governor, saying this is our livelihood. The Strip is what brings this city money. We are a rich city because we're an entertainment city. People are not going to come here if they don't feel safe. So we need to get cops on that Strip. You should have as many cops on that Strip as you can. That's just my feeling.
And Danny, you can speak as a former police officer on this, as we're talking about the safety of Las Vegas, safety of the Strip, the safety of downtown Fremont Street, which is definitely even more questionable whether or not it's safe. but I will often be walking down one of the two, Fremont or the Strip, and I will not see a police officer for quite a while. And then suddenly I'll see a group of maybe 5 or 10 of them suddenly all standing in a group. And as a former officer, why do you think they do that here in Vegas a lot? Why do you think I don't see them spread out at regular intervals? Like you mentioned last week, there's not a police officer at every major casino, but yeah, I'll find groups of 10 of them sometimes just standing there talking.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what they do, Pete. And listen, for those of you that don't know Vegas, right in front of Planet Hollywood, that's like the ghetto of the Strip, okay? Right in front of Planet Hollywood, everything happens there. I call it the ghetto of the Strip, okay? There's druggies there, there's homeless people, so they put all their cops right there, if you ever notice. You always see cops by Planet Hollywood. You also see them between the Flamingo and Dre's. You know where Dre's nightclub is on the top? You always see them there too. But other than that, they're nowhere on the Strip. As a former police chief of a small town, so I can't think of a big city, I would have officers roaming up and down that Strip walking, and I would have a police car in front of every single casino. This is what brings this city money. Pete, you know this city is rich. This city is clean. There's no real dirty areas. This is a rich city, and we need to keep it that way, and we need to keep that Strip safe. And I'm shouting out to the mayor, the governor, and the police chief. We need that Strip safe.
I agree, Danny, and that answers it very great. I'm just curious, though, why do you think that instead of them spreading, why do you think they've not already allocated the distribution of their officers and their resources? I mean, do you think they're still, obviously they respond. You and I went out a week or two ago and we saw 10 or 11 cars pass us. They all went in unison. That was great. They had an epic response to something. But why is it that you think that we already don't have one police officer stationed at every major casino? I just don't understand that.
I'm going to tell you, and people aren't going to like it, they don't have enough cops.
Really?
I guarantee you that's what it is. A lot of people don't realize, I mean, there's some bad parts of Vegas. Metropolitan, now listen, a lot of people don't realize this. It's not the Las Vegas Police Department. It's the Las Vegas Sheriff Metropolitan Police Department. They go all the way down to Laughlin. I don't know if you know, that's an hour and a half from here. They go all the way out to Mount Charleston. So this police department is a metropolitan area. It's not just Las Vegas. A lot of people don't realize that. But they have jurisdiction throughout the county. You know, they're a sheriff's department. So they're Clark County jurisdiction everywhere. But I think that's the reason, Pete. They don't have enough cops. Okay, they're in the bad areas where they're getting calls. I don't even see traffic tickets being given out here, Pete. I don't see people getting pulled over for traffic because they're so far busy with all the crime and the calls. They don't even pull people over for traffic tickets here. They really don't. I see people drive around with no license plates on. I'm sure you've seen it, Pete, and they don't get pulled over. People don't have license plates. Lots of them.
Wow. So today in Vegas, we have over 600,000 people in the city of Las Vegas. We have around 3 million people in the metro greater Las Vegas area. And I was researching before the show today. It appears that we only have between 3,000 and 3,300 Las Vegas cops as Las Vegas city officers. That seems like very, very small number compared to the number of the population. I don't know what a standard city is, but
I'm going to tell you this. How much did you say? How many?
Between 3,000 and 3,300 Las Vegas city.
There's supposed to be one officer for every 1,000 residents. That's what they like to do. So one officer for every 1,000 residents. So we have, like, in the metropolitan area, we're like 2.3 million here.
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of low. I can't do the math right away in my head.
Right.
But to me, that's kind of low. And I want to bring up, we got a question on Instagram, Pete.
Perfect.
She lives in Vegas. She said, when I moved in 1999, it was not bad. I was able to buy a house, but now it's beginning to look like California because we have a ton of people from California moving here because they can't afford California. They can't afford it, so they're moving to Vegas.
Wow. You know, and it's a shame. Vegas is rising, continuing to grow. And one thing I actually forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, a weekly highlight was kind of an entertainment spotlight that I do want to bring up is that for a long time, Las Vegas has been trying to become more of a film city in the world. There are a few major film cities, Atlanta, Los Angeles, of course, New York. Those are the three biggest ones in the United States. Well, Vegas and Nevada have wanted to become more of a film central city. We recently had the huge $2 billion Sony and Mark Wahlberg studio that was set up. However, the law did not pass Congress and the House the other day. So unfortunately, that huge studio that was supposed to come to Summerlin is now going to be put off and postponed. So I'm sad to see that. I'm devastated because Vegas could be a great film city. It really could, but we don't have the infrastructure yet here. So we just have on location shoots mostly.
I know. I hope something turns around and that goes through, Pete, because it's huge for this. It would have been huge for the city. Bringing up a question that Angela just posted. Danny, they have undercover cops. They do have undercover cops. But when you're talking about the Strip, and I'm sure there's undercover cops on the Strip. I'm sure. Okay. 100% there is. But when you're talking about the Strip, you need cops to be seen. You need cops in uniform. That stops crime. If you look, oh, there's a cop, I'm not going to commit a crime right in front of the cops. Oh, there's a cop car, I'm not going to commit. So on the Strip, you need more uniform guys than you need undercover. And that's just coming from experience. Seeing a cop stops crime. It's just common sense.
That brings me back to something that you mentioned, Danny, a few episodes ago, when we were talking about police brutality in America and you were demonstrating proper police tactics. You let me and all the viewers know that a police officer is demonstrating force just by being present in a uniform. That is a show of force. It's a display of force because you're saying, hey, I am the force here. I am the law, a representative of it. So please don't commit a crime because your likelihood of being arrested or shot is going to be a lot higher versus if I see Danny, who is an undercover cop in undercover clothes, that's not as much of a force. It might be a different type of force.
Exactly. And let me explain that to you why that's a force. Think about this, guys. I'm going to explain it to you right off. When you're driving down the road and you see a police car on the highway, you hit your brakes because you're scared. It's because you're scared of him. It's a force. Just seeing him is a force. That's what it is. And a lot of people don't realize that, but a cop's presence is a force.
Absolutely. So, Danny, as we're nearing 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes left in the show, I want to talk about some more of the most famous crimes in Vegas. And I want to jump straight to September 7th, 1996, and talk about the murder of one of the most famous rappers in the world, Tupac Amaru Shakur. So, Danny, where were you when you heard about the Tupac shooting? Obviously, you were not in Vegas in 96. Neither was I. I was a kid in middle school when I heard about it, and I was just devastated.
Pete, I heard about it when I was back in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. I was a cop already when it happened. And honestly, he was an up-and-coming star. He was actually a very good actor. And a lot of people don't realize this guy was only in his 20s. You know what I mean? He wasn't an old person. This guy was in his 20s. And a lot of people don't realize he was shot before the Vegas shooting. He was shot in an elevator. Remember that? He survived that. And then he didn't survive the Vegas shooting.
Yes, absolutely. So Tupac had a history of being in and out of jail, a history of violence, history of basically, as he self-declared himself, a thug. He had a thug life past. However, he was also very young. He was only 25 years old at the time of his demise. And scientists now have studied and shown that the prefrontal cortex of the brain does not actually fully develop until the end of your 25th year. So basically what that means is if you're 25 or under, you're kind of a kid. You're still growing. You're still maturing. So Tupac had such a huge potential. He could have lived so much longer, I believe. But it happened after a Mike Tyson fight. Tupac got into an altercation at MGM Grand Studio with some people. There was a physical fight that erupted. Then Tupac left with Suge Knight in the BMW and the 750 BMW, I believe. They were driving east on Flamingo Road, and it was at the intersection of Flamingo and Koval where the white Cadillac pulled up and opened fire, about 14 shots, I believe, that did injure Tupac and shoot him in the chest, which later caused his death in the hospital. Very sad.
And it's funny because Pete and I were just there last week. We were at that intersection last week, and we said we should do a video out here, and we will. One of these days, we'll go there. We'll show you the scene where it's at. But Pete and I were exactly where this happened. I mean, exact. He actually went off into a gas station area. That gas station is still there where his car went off. And I actually know a cop that introduced me to the cop that was first on the scene. And he said to Tupac, "Who did this to you?" And this is a true story. You could Google it. You could see it on documentaries. He looked at him and said, "Fuck you." He would not tell even... He was going to die within seconds. He still was not going to be a snitch. He said, fuck you to the cop.
Wow. Well, Tupac definitely had that reputation. And if you know Tupac as an artist, you know his films, his performances in his short life were amazing. He had some of the greatest performances in cinema. His music was very profound and trying to really uplift people out of poverty and out of crime. But he did have a very strict code of the streets and a code of honor. So in a way, it's unfortunate that he never named his shooter because, you know, maybe that crime could have been solved instead of being one of the most famous crimes for decades. But now recently in 2025, they have an arrest. So who knows if this guy really did it or not? He says he didn't. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Two of my friends that are podcasters, John Orlando and Dave Kohlmeyer, they actually put out a $50,000 reward for the conviction of the person that killed Tupac. $50,000. They did that about 3 years ago.
Wow.
So if they solve it, they better come up with $25K apiece.
If you're going to make a statement, you got to have the bag to back it up, I guess. So, wow. So anyway, rest in peace to Tupac, you know, and it's been one of the most famous and infamous stories of crime and unsolved shootings in the nation's history and the world's history. And there are several more things, of course, that have happened. Do you want to talk about the O.J. Simpson arrest here, Danny, many years ago?
Yeah. We had so many crimes here in Vegas. This could probably be a 2-episode show. But O.J. got sentenced to 10 years in jail for getting his own stuff back. Somebody stole this memorabilia or somehow they got it. OJ went to the casino, robbed the guy of his own stuff, and OJ got 10 years. And I'm going to tell you straight out, that would have been probation. But since OJ got away with murder, that judge sentenced him to 10 years in prison. I will guarantee that. I have no facts, but I'm guaranteeing it.
That's a pretty good chance, yeah. Probably thought, you know what, you got away once, you're not getting away again on my watch.
That was at the Palace Station. That's where it happened. At the Palace Station is where OJ went and did that robbery. That he got 10 years. And OJ lived here for about 20 years here in Vegas.
Interesting. Wow. And still a lot of celebrities and a lot of notable people call Vegas home. Of course, all the sports people, whether they're with the Los Angeles Raiders or the upcoming NBA and MLB teams that will be coming here eventually. There's tons of actors, movie stars that live here. Of course, Nicolas Cage, Ted Nugent, you name it. But it's
Flavor Flav. I got to name Flavor Flav. He's here too.
Yeah, got to name Flava. And so many people that are just here for the week or here for residencies or that they have homes here. This is where Jelly Roll bought his first home with Bunny. He bought his first house here in Vegas.
That's crazy. I mean, Vegas and the celebrities are moving here. Like Mark Wahlberg just moved here. I mean, there's celebrities. Listen, I've seen celebrities just out getting ice cream. So it could happen here in Vegas. You can see a celebrity anywhere you go. It's really a fact. I've played poker with celebrities I didn't even know were celebrities. Honest to God, that's true. The dealer would tell me, oh, he's on that doctor show on CBS. I'm like, I don't even know who the hell he is. But so I've played poker with celebrities I didn't even know were celebrities. That's how you run into them here.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people have never been here and they're making assessments and associations about Vegas. And a lot of these people who have not experienced it, they just think, man, it's just nothing but gambling and there's so much crime and this and that. It's about what you spend your time doing here, just like any other city. Yes, there are opportunities to go spend all your time in the casino, or you can spend your opportunity to do anything terrible in your own home or anywhere else you are. Where I grew up in a small town far away from a city, there were people right in the surrounding neighborhoods who were cooking drugs in meth labs. So you don't have to go out into a city to cause crime, to commit a crime is what I'm saying. And the city itself isn't a bad city, in my opinion. I absolutely love it here. But as we're talking about the history of crime in Vegas, we're talking about current crime in Vegas. Of course, we have to mention the Vegas mass shooting that we've talked about previously on our mass shooters episode. I think that shooter really wanted to tarnish the reputation of Vegas, but they did not succeed. They have not succeeded, and Vegas is going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to prosper as a city, I believe.
I totally believe, and I do believe that more movies will be filmed there, and I do believe sooner or later we're going to get them studios that we wanted. So I think, film will definitely be here soon. I do, Pete. What do you think? I think it's a matter of time.
Absolutely. We're already the entertainment capital of the world, but that's because we have so much live entertainment, so many comedy shows, so many performances, so much music already, so many clubs and nightlife. But film is happening soon. As we're starting to draw to the close of the show, I want to really quickly mention that another issue Vegas has is about 1,500 people living underground in tunnels underneath Vegas. Danny recently partnered with the company to give a lot of them socks. And Danny and I talked about in our pre-show that we soon want to do a Help the Homeless in Vegas effort. And we'll announce that in the future as we arrive on a date of that, to where we will try to give some socks and water and essentials to those homeless people. So I'll go ahead and wrap us up on the show before I let Danny say his final words. Thank you on behalf of everyone here at The Minor Details for tuning in. Please leave us a review on Spotify and all podcast platforms. And I'll let our host, Danny Miner, take us away.
Guys, thank you for another great show. And we're getting bigger and bigger. So I want to thank you all. Tell people about us. Get the word out there. The more people, the more word we could get on crime on the street and get crime to calm down in the United States, even calm down here in Vegas. We'll see you all next week. We're not going to tell you what the show's about, but it's going to be big next week. Right, Pete?
That's right. Stay tuned. See you all soon.
All right, see us. We'll be live on the Strip tonight. Fremont Street.
Tune in.
Do the cash walk, do the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your